Okay, so in this video, I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about what I'm thinking, my expectations, kind of where I am going to be taking off points the most for your step 4 of 5 assignment that leads up to that final paper. So for this step, you can take two different directions with it. However, it's whatever helps you in the end for your final paper, but they still serve the same purpose. So in step 3, you developed those 5 questions from the 10 that you had prior. Those 5 questions are the ones that you're going to answer, or that are going to help guide you whenever you're looking for scholarly resources. So you don't have to answer them outright unless you want to, unless that helps you. You don't have to be like, the answer to this question is because of this source. You can, if that helps you, like I said. However, it's really to help guide you, like the keywords and the kind of overall theme of that question. Go out and go to the library website or Google Scholar. But if those of you are not sure how to find scholarly peer-reviewed articles, I would maybe stick with the library website and search for some like key terms from that question. And then you'll find at least 2 sources per question. So that's 10 sources to at least total minimum that you must have for this assignment. So you'll find 2 sources per those 5 questions. You'll answer them. And so you can either, take question 1, right, have it up there, and then just answer them outright. Then with your sources, go ahead and answer them with your in-text citation, but then also at the bottom, you'll still need a bibliography with all of them. Make sure that you're doing the bibliography correct. If you don't understand how to do that, there are many sources available to you. Purdue OWL has a really great source that talks about how to citate depending on if you want to use ASA, APA, Chicago, or MLA format. I don't care which one you use as long as you stick to the same format. And so you can, so that for that first step, you can answer it outright, like literal, or you can go ahead and develop your rough draft. You still have to utilize those 10 sources within, just like you would normally, right? So you do like a literature review. Basically, this research paper is a literature review meant to answer your research question, okay? And so you can go ahead and make your rough draft. If you want to kind of concentrate on the body of it and leave out the intro and the conclusion, that's fine. Just use that body as those 5 question answers to the questions. That's perfectly okay, because then whenever you get to that step 5 for the final paper, all you'll have to do is perfect, edit, make sure that there's an intro and a conclusion, make sure there's transition sentences, make sure it flows. And so that's really what I'm trying to get y'all to do, right? Through all of these steps, it's building you up so that final paper is seamless and easy and just comes out really well. It also gives you a chance to edit better than whenever you just have like this final research paper and you throw it together in the end. The step 4 should mean that your step 5 should be a perfect seamless paper with all the correct sources, sourced correctly, or cited correctly, I'm sorry. So either way, I'll provide you feedback for either option. But the rough draft one seems to help students a lot better because, you're getting advice that is directly connected to the final product. So I kind of suggest doing that one, but some of you, it might be easier just to, answer those questions. And so you're going to have at least a page per question, 2 sources, a minimum. You're going to have at least 1 page, if not 2 or 3. And so you have 5 questions. That's at least 5 pages for this assignment. So when we talk about grading, immediately, if I see that you have less than 5 pages, you're getting deducted. Okay. I will go through grammar and syntax and all of those things a little bit. I don't harp on those too much, but there's some things that are just very obvious. For one, that if you took a second look at the paper, if you did, a Grammarly check or a ABC spell check in the Microsoft Word document, it would have came up. You could have found that just from a double check, right? Those I do count off if they're big like that. Also, if your sentences don't make sense, I count off like that. If they don't connect well, if I can't see where your line of thought is going, I'm going to have to take that off, right? That's kind of comprehension and coherence. And finally, or not finally, but kind of really importantly, the sources. I take 100 points for those sources. So literally right off the bat, if you don't have, so 100 points is your effort, your coherence, your comprehension, your effort into the paper and answering the questions. And then another 100 points is divided between those 10 sources. If your source is not a peer-reviewed, scholarly, legitimate academic source, automatically deducted. If you don't cite them correctly, either both in text and at the end in the bibliography, deducted. Okay. So you're really, you need to make sure that you're doing these sources correctly and that you are finding the right kind of articles. And if you don't know where to look, ask me, consult me. You cannot copy and paste a URL. That's not proper. You cannot, right. And so, you shouldn't ever be using any kind of website anyways, because a blog or an opinion, most news reports these days are not worthy either. If you're using a journal article, it's very, very easy. you know who the journal is, you know who the author is, you know the title, you know the page number that you're getting it from, if that's applicable, if you're quoting directly, right? The year it was the year that it was written, right? So those are the key components that you have to cite for you to not be plagiarizing, and for me to know that your article is correct, right? Yeah. So let's see if I missed anything. I think that's all for right now. I don't know what else that might be helpful. If y'all have any other questions, email me, and if there's a lot of people that have the same question, I can maybe make another note or a video for you. Review my video on how to cite properly. I have a how-to Word kind of video in there where I use my phone and show the computer. It's kind of crude and elementary, but it was the best way I could figure out how to be able to show you where in Microsoft Word that is located. So make sure you review that because it's easy. It's right there. There's tons of sources online. We're at university level work now. And so things have to be documented correctly. It has to be cited correctly. And you have to be able to find and use good sources. Now, so this is not to say that you can't use news reports or things of the like. Because some of you might need, like if you're saying, there's popular rhetoric surrounding the use of technology for children, for toddlers, right? And that it has these negative consequences and that it's in the media all the time, right? You might need to go and find those sources to be able to show and demonstrate that this is really an issue, right? Just because you say it's so doesn't mean it's so. You can say whatever you want, but that doesn't make it legitimate. You have to show, right? You have to document and show that there is this issue that you're trying to say in certain cases. Not everybody this will apply to, but for some of you it might. So if you want to go find CNN and Fox and all these different places to be able to show these news sources have said these things about toddlers' use of technology or, whatever. Millennials being, what do people say on popular? Millennials are lazy or something. I don't know, right? You can show that, but that does not stand in for your 10 scholarly articles, the literature review that you're doing, right? I mean, so most of this research paper could even be called a literature review paper. You have a question, you have a topic in mind that you want to know more about. You're going to find these things that scientists and social scientists have done have already put out there. They've already done the work for you. You're just compiling that work, you're documenting it, and you're answering the question that you have in a research paper format. Most of what we do as scholars is just, doing this literature review and finding the theory to be able to better understand the social phenomenon that we're studying. I highly encourage you to make sure that you kind of utilize the foundational theories that we use, because a part of this also is it's a sociological paper. So I want to be able to see that you read the material and that you have these foundations. You don't have to quote necessarily. You can also quote from the text or any of the articles that I've assigned to you. So you don't have to, quote exact page numbers or anything, but you can come at it from an interpretive paradigm, kind of paradigmatic assumption thing, right? So talking about the micro, the social psychology, the social construction of reality, the consequences on identity or certain populations, on emotions, on whatever it is that you're studying, there's some of these things should be applicable because this is a sociological research paper, so you have to use the sociology as well. So I'll also be looking at that and be counting off if I don't see any sociology at all or social psychology. Obviously that's kind of a big deal. It's part of what I'm a sociology professor. It's a sociology class. I need to see the sociology, right? So hopefully this helps. If it doesn't, I am more than happy to answer questions. I will be in my office for the office hours on Wednesday and Monday, and then the next Wednesday, right? So you have 3 days that you can come and meet me. I'm also available by appointment. If you can't make any of those times or dates, email me and I can set up an appointment with you as well to go over anything. If you are having trouble finding sources to answer your question, email me and I would happy to do a little quick search and send you some examples. A lot of times 1 or 2 articles is all you need to get started, because then you can look at their bibliography of those articles and find articles that are related to what you're looking for as well. So have a good one.